See, when it comes to comparing between the Western and what we are doing, it's something I have to have views on that topic because it's something that's our core business. I mean, that's our core work area. I mean, how I mean, my whole focus all the time is what if now, what else can I do better? How do we improve what we're doing? And of course, the West is one area that to look at the system and see whether it will work over here. See, when we started Shamrock, we started with we moved from a 20 years back. Preschools were actually very just extension of the formal schools. They were still dull, grey, boring classrooms, um, taught by rote learning. There was not, and for a 2-year-old daughter, that was like impossible. How what are you trying to do with them? So we moved to an environment from that to a system which was more which built on the child's natural curiosities, as I talked about. I mean, he is curious. Uh, the Western world on that scale, if you look at that, make it on a scale. The Western world is at another extreme where it's actually child centric. Uh, a lot of schools talk about child centric curriculum, child centric system. It is not child centric. We are curriculum centric very clearly. We should try to admit that way we are not going wrong. We and reason for that is we cannot afford to be child centric. If there are 55 children in a class and each child wants to do something different, how does the teacher manage it? Who's going to pay for that money? So there the ratios are there where each child, if there's a huge hall, there'll be like 15 children, and the whole hall would have different areas, one for wet play, dry play, sand area, painting area. So child says, okay, fine, this is what I want to do, and the teacher says, fine, go ahead and do it. But here in India, that kind of system will make the education very expensive in terms of, because who's going to pay for that? Does the government subsidize the land? Or the private players, how are they going to recover that money if I'm a private investor? Why should I do it? So you have to balance out both things. And secondly, also the needs of the child. See, the child needs of a society and also the child have to balance all these things together. See, the society expects children to reach A, B, C, or should know this level after even in high schools also. They should know this, they should know this, they should know this. By the time he's 10, this is how our curriculum designers or people who take the examination boards feel that this is how a progression should be, and this is what the natural pace of child's learning is. So as schools, as an education system, we have to direct the children towards that. Now, how much of that is forceful direction and how much is natural, where you can actually prod the child. Okay, so for example, if I take a child says, I want to paint, let's do some coloring. You like red color, right? You want to do red color? And child says, yeah, I like red color. Now in the Western world, I would say he wants to do this. The teacher would have gone ahead and understood that. Whereas in our system, we say, okay, we can divert him. So that's what we try and do. So see, he's also coloring. Why don't you also color? He wants to play outside. Okay. So stand there for a second. If you also want to color, here's some red color for you. And you can paint this circle red. After that, he'll be picking the brush and start doing it. He'll forget about his playing. So because my two teachers have a class of 30 children. Now they'll go crazy if every child starts doing and they start following him. He has to know that concept. That concept is being reinforced. It's in a playway method. So he doesn't know his boundaries between playing and education are blurred earlier and in the early stages. Of course, as they go along, they understand this is play, this is not play. So, but in early stages, play is what is learning, and that is what is extended to projects as well. So what one of my grudges with the education system is every time they have a committee to review the curriculum, they end up adding 2 more chapters to the curriculum. So they'll be like, now solar energy would be the next thing which is there. But so, I mean, why do we have to stuff everything down their throats? I mean, that's something that we asked about people who design them. Why does child have to know this? Why does child have to know this? For example, in one of the interviews for LKG, a child was given the leaves of trees and asked to identify the plant. And the parent was like, sir, you didn't teach them anything, he didn't know that. I said, ma'am, do you know the answer to this question? She said, no. I said, then how can you? I said, you should not send your child to a school who's going to ask these rubbish questions. All they're trying to do is eliminate people easily. Instead of going to the hard way of analyzing each child, just there is a queue of 5,000 applications. I need to take 100 children. Let's just get rid of most of them. So I said, this is senseless. So how much of information? So right now we are moving towards and frankly CBSE gives us the freedom as well, and they say, okay, fine, if NCERT has 25 chapters and you want to teach 20, I say, if I want to teach a project, as you said, if project is on top of the 25 chapters, and it's like what I'm trying to achieve, then he's going through the motions, he's He's searching online for a project and trying to buy a project. He's going to one of the stationery shops and buying a project which is a science project and doesn't know, he's not made it himself, or his parents are taking a half day off from office and making a project for his project day tomorrow, and which is not the idea. It's meant to be something which is to stimulate his own creativity, to let the child find out where his or her interests lie, and maybe that's something. The idea of a project work is that, not that you have 25 chapters again this year you have 25 plus project work. That's not it. So what we do is we talk to our team and say, okay, fine, here are 25 chapters which every school is doing. If you feel that only 20 should be done, the child should learn those 20 well and do away with 5 which are not important for his future studies. Please mark that you will not be doing it, but take the parents into confidence, because the way parents like, oh, you didn't do those 3 chapters, that school did it, he doesn't know this, and then you tell them about this information, that they are this book, that this chapter that this book has, it has information which is not required for. He's not building. He's not built on this information. He's not going to use this for future classes. His future classes will not be impacted. If you want to teach it, do it at your level. But whatever chapters we have, these are important for his future growth. These are given these are foundation chapters. These we will cover in depth, ensuring that his concepts are clear. So that's how we tackle it. And frankly, the school board does give us that flexible, where it's not that where every class the examination comes from a central board. Then those problems would be really severe. So it's a good thing that our education system is structured where that gives a freedom to a school to say, okay, these are my books, these are the chapters that I want to do, and this is my test that this is how I'm going to test it. So it's up to the schools to decide and to manage parents' expectations on that.